They told me I was not good enough for this tournament. They questioned every decision that was made when my name was on the team sheet. They said I had no goals, that I was wasting a spot, that Spain could not win a World Cup with Ferran Torres in the squad. And then the 106th minute of the World Cup final arrived, and I put the ball in the net. And Spain are world champions. So let me tell you what nobody is saying publicly. Let me tell you what it actually felt like to be Ferran Torres at this World Cup. Because the story you heard from the media and the story that was actually happening are two very different things. Welcome back to Robert's Football Talk. Today we are doing something different. Today we are telling the Ferran Torres story the way it deserves to be told. The criticism, the dropped goals, the canceled goal that should have stood, the moment nobody expected, and the answer he gave the entire football world in the 106th minute at MetLife Stadium. Subscribe right now. This one is personal. Let us go. Part 1. The most criticized player at the World Cup who won it. Let me give you the context first. Because Ferran Torres arrived at this World Cup as Spain's backup striker. Not the main man. Not Oyarzabal. Not Morata. The backup. The player who comes off the bench. The player who gets 20 minutes here and 30 minutes there and is judged entirely on whether he scores in those limited windows. And in Spain's first 4 matches of this tournament, Torres did not score. 0 goals. Coming on as a substitute in multiple matches. Having chances. Not converting. The criticism was immediate and it was brutal. Social media destroyed him. Spanish pundits questioned why he was in the squad. Comparisons were made to other strikers who should have been picked instead. The narrative built week by week. Torres is not delivering. Torres is not the player he was. Torres cannot score when it matters. He heard all of it. Every word, every post, every pundit who shook their head and said, De La Fuente needs to find a different option. And then came the final. And Torres came on in the 63rd minute with Spain still 0-0 against Argentina. Against Emiliano Martinez, who had already made save after save. Against 10 Argentine defenders who would rather run through a wall than concede a goal that night. And in the 106th minute of extra time, Yamal found Porro, whose cross reached Williams, whose header fell to Torres 8 yards out, and Torres buried it with his left foot into the roof of the net. His first goal of the entire tournament. His first touch that ended up in the back of the net. In the World Cup final. In extra time. After everything they said. After every word of criticism. After 0 goals in the group stage and knockout rounds. Ferran Torres scored the only goal of the World Cup final. Now I want to ask you something. Was Torres the most underrated player at this entire World Cup? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Subscribe to Robert's Football Talk before we go further. Because part 2 is where this story gets really interesting. Part 2, the goal that was canceled. The moment that should have been his first. Here is the part of Torres' tournament story that most people have forgotten in the celebration of the winning goal. And it needs to be said clearly. Earlier in the tournament, Torres had a goal canceled. The ball went in, he celebrated. His teammates celebrated. Spain celebrated. And then VAR stepped in, and the goal was disallowed. Think about what that moment felt like for a player who was already being criticized for not scoring, already hearing the noise about his place in the squad, already fighting the narrative that he could not deliver when Spain needed him. He scored, and then the goal was taken away. Most players in that situation fall apart. The confidence drops. The next chance comes, and the doubt creeps in. The criticism gets louder. The pressure gets heavier. Torres did not fall apart. He came back. He kept coming off the bench. He kept working in training. He kept trusting De La Fuente's faith in him. He kept believing that his moment was coming, even when the evidence was pointing in the other direction. And then the 106th minute arrived. And this time there was no VAR review. This time the goal stood. This time Ferran Torres put the ball in the back of the net in a World Cup final, and nobody could take it away from him. Part 3. The Messi factor. Playing against the greatest player on earth. Let me tell you what it feels like to play in a World Cup final against Messi. Because Ferran Torres was on that pitch for almost 45 minutes while Messi was still playing. He felt what that opposition looks like from the inside. He said it himself after the match. When Messi is on the opposition, you do get a bit nervous. He said that directly. All finals are tough. But when you are playing against Messi at a World Cup final, even the most experienced players feel something extra in their chest. And here is the part that every Spain fan should be proud of. Spain did not let Messi decide the match. They did not allow the greatest player in the history of football to find his moments. They built a defensive structure so complete, so organized, so suffocating that Argentina had 0 shots in the first 90 minutes. 0. Against a team with Messi. In a World Cup final. Torres was part of that structure when he was on the pitch. Running channels. Pressing when Spain did not have the ball. Making Argentina's center backs deal with his movement even when he was not scoring. Making their defensive organization work harder. Creating the spaces that Spain's other attackers were using throughout the match. And then when the space opened in the 106th minute, Torres was exactly where he needed to be. Because great strikers do not manufacture moments. They are ready when moments arrive. And Torres was ready. Subscribe to Robert's Football Talk right now and share this video, because the next part is the one that makes this entire story complete. Part 4. What Torres said. The words that silenced every critic. After the final whistle, after the trophy was lifted, after 47 million people in Spain celebrated the second World Cup in their history, Ferran Torres stood in front of the cameras and said what he needed to say. He said it was a goal scored by 47 million people, not just him. He said destiny was written. He said thanks to God he always gives him the strength to continue and in the end grants things to those who most deserve them. And then he said the line that every single person who criticized him at this tournament needed to hear. I have been criticized throughout the whole tournament. Not defending himself, not attacking the critics, not pointing fingers at pundits or social media, just stating the fact. I was criticized. Everyone knows it. And I scored the World Cup winning goal. That is the most powerful response any athlete can give to criticism. Not words, goals. Not arguments, results. Torres did not go on social media during the tournament to defend himself. He did not give press conferences complaining about the noise. He waited. He worked. He stayed ready. And in the 106th minute of a World Cup final, he gave his answer where it matters. On the pitch. With the ball. Against Argentina. Against Emiliano Martinez, who had made 11 saves before Torres put the ball past him. 11 saves. And on the 12th attempt, Torres scored. Part 5. The substitute who joined history. Here is the final piece of this story that deserves to be told. Ferran Torres is only the second substitute in World Cup final history to score the winning goal. The first was Mario Götze for Germany against Argentina in 2014 in extra time. That goal is one of the most famous moments in football history. Götze came off the bench. He controlled a cross on his chest. He volleyed it into the net. Germany won the World Cup. Torres joins that list. Off the bench, extra time, World Cup final, against Argentina. World Cup winners, 12 years apart, 2 substitutes, 2 extra time goals, 2 World Cups decided by players who were not even starting the biggest match of their lives. And Torres, who came on in the 63rd minute, who waited 43 minutes for his moment, who had been criticized for the entire tournament before that moment arrived, put the ball exactly where he needed to put it and did not miss. The criticism is over now. The noise is gone now. The questions about whether Torres deserved his place in the squad are answered now. Not by arguments, not by statistics from previous tournaments, by one left-footed finish in the 106th minute of a World Cup final that gave Spain their second world title. They said he was not good enough. He scored the only goal of the World Cup final. That is Ferran Torres. World Cup winner, Spain hero, the most criticized player at the tournament, who ended up being the most important one. That is the full breakdown. The criticism, the canceled goal, the Messi factor, the 106th minute, the words that silenced every critic, and the place in history that nobody can take away. 3 questions. Drop all 3 in the comments right now. First, is Ferran Torres the biggest surprise hero of the 2026 World Cup? Second, after this goal, does he deserve to start for Spain instead of coming off the bench? Third, will he score the winner when Spain defend the World Cup in 2030? Drop everything below. I read every single one. This has been Robert's Football Talk. Hit that like button. Share this with every football fan you know. Subscribe if you are not already here. New videos every single week. I will see you in the next one.